Let me ask you a question. How old are you? You know, I've coached a lot of people with career stuff. I've coached people who were in high school, people who were in college, people who had recently graduated from college, people who were maybe just into their first job, all the way to people who were like 80 and 90. And it never ceases to amaze me the impact that one's own idea about their age has on their career. For example, I was recently talking to somebody who was probably maybe early 60s, had finished a long career in one place and was just on the verge of trying to figure out what they were going to do next. And a lot of their mindset just was really held back by they thought they were just really old. At the same time, I recently was talking to somebody who was 4 months out of college and had already done a bunch of really interesting things. Was pretty much looking, to get started on a career, and they were convinced that because they'd been 4 months out of school and they just hadn't really found their footing, that life had passed them by and they were kind of a failure. And then at the same time, I've worked with a person in particular who's like, I think 86, and this person is in it. I mean, they're still playing, they are making impact, and they're pretty far up there, but you would not know it. This person has not stopped. And it's actually pretty impressive to see them go. They have the energy of someone much, much, much less their age, but you wouldn't really know what their age was unless you just happen to know, especially based on the impact that they were making. So I'm not trying to make a Depends commercial here or revisit the movie Cocoon, and it depends. If you don't know, those are basically adult diapers. They're adult undergarments, and their motto is, you've got a lot of living to do. I'm not trying to make that point. But what I'm trying to make is, in your career, the way you think about your age really matters a ton. Both ways. Whether you think you're too old, whether you think you're too young, doesn't matter. The way you think about your age has an impact on your career, and that impact is pretty much your choice, which means that if your attitude about your age is holding you back in your career, you can totally change it, and you should. And here's some thoughts to help you do that. Here's the funny thing about age is, we all assume that if we're, like 20, we've got somewhere in the neighborhood of 60, 70, 80 years left to live. And if we're, maybe like 60 or 70, that, well, maybe, things are wrapping up. But, not to be morbid or anything, but the 20-year-old could get hit by a bus tomorrow. The 50-year-old could live another 50 years, which means they haven't even completed half of their adult years yet at the age of 50. So this notion that tomorrow is guaranteed, it's not. And then the old age, impacts people's health and certain things. It probably is a less valuable predictor in terms of what one's working future is than most people give it the power to be. Especially when it comes to early professionals, and this is where I have a lot of experience, especially where I have people who are, in their early 20s, and they are convinced that they've just missed the boat, that they're too old, that they're not making enough progress. The stereotype of young people today, of course, is that they're entitled, right? They want to get promoted after 10 minutes being in a new job, and there's reasons for that. Like people like Simon Sinek have gone into why it's everything's been on demand and sort of immediate delivery in our new sort of the age we live in. But here's what I would say. George Bernard Shaw said, or a version of, it's too bad that youth is wasted on the young, right? And I think that could apply here when it comes to career stuff, in the sense that, people who are just starting out their career, who are young, who maybe don't have a ton of responsibilities, they don't have a mortgage, they don't have big families with lots of mouths to feed. Again, everybody's situation is different, but in general, that tends to be the case. I think sometimes youth is wasted on them because instead of using those advantages and the flexibility of time that they have and the fact that they can live lean, they don't have a lot of huge commitments yet in their life, but that's replaced by just a ton of anxiety about that they're not moving fast enough. So what I would say to our younger viewers out there is don't let your anxiety about your future get the better of you, right? Don't play into that stereotype, that most people give millennials the idea that they're entitled, that they have to get promoted so quickly, that they're not willing to put in the work. Put in the work. Show respect for people who've paid their dues and been there a while. It will serve you. You've got more time. We just talked about getting hit by a bus, but in general, you've got more time than you think. Your life isn't passing you by. You're not old. You're not old. And you're not young either, but you're not old. And for those of you who are a little bit up there, maybe like myself, I'm 46 by the way, but I'm not young or old, am I? Neither are you. So for those who are worried that they're too old, let me just throw a couple of historical people at you that'll blow your mind, right? Julia Childs, right? The famous chef. She wrote her first cookbook when she was 50 years old. Right? She hadn't done a cookbook before then. She wrote her first one when she was 50. Still had a huge impact on the world. Harlan Sanders, better known as Colonel Sanders, franchised his first Kentucky Fried Chicken, aka KFC, when he was 62. Ray Kroc, founder of McDonald's, purchased the McDonald's that we know today, purchased his first McDonald's when he was 52. There was recently a movie about that showed it. He thought his career was over and then McDonald's happened. Grandma Moses started her prolific painting career when she was 78. So this notion that you're too old to start something, yeah, that's horseshit. Don't tell yourself that and don't let anybody else tell you that. How you think about your age can either lift up your career or press it down. So whatever age you are, physically, mentally, whatever, I hope that these thoughts have convinced you that you shouldn't let your age have that great an impact on your career or your ability to win at work.